Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to Schoolyard Sports Podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, Lane Frank. We're now in episode 208. It's for 208 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The Final Four is here. We got Florida versus Auburn and Duke versus Houston. And I'll be bringing you Schoolyard Sports live coverage from San Antonio on Saturday at the Final Four. MLB opening week is underway, and what a fun ride it's been so far. We've got so many new headlines and storylines in MLB to cover in this episode. NFL Draft is this month, recording this on April 1st, but no joke here, the NFL Draft coming up very soon. NBA playoffs start this month. It's a great month of sports, and it's going to be a great episode. 208. Stay tuned. Let's hop into it. All right, first things first, let's start off episode 208, how we always do, with the headlines in the NBA. First thing in the NBA, Taylor Jenkins, Memphis Grizzlies head coach, has been fired. Yes, this comes as a shock to a lot of people, including me. With about 10 games left to playoffs, they're sitting comfortably as a top seed in the Western Conference, yet they're going to fire Taylor Jenkins, who's done a really solid job with this team, even when Ja Morant has been out. But with Ja Morant, obviously they're an awesome team. Just a little bit surprising to me. Taylor Jenkins is gone. Is this a call by one of the players? I don't know. It seems like he was a player-friendly coach, so a little surprising to me that they're getting rid of Taylor Jenkins. Next thing in the NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers, come as no surprise to anybody, have been eliminated from playoff contention. They got eliminated in March, before April, before the month of the playoffs. They're back to their old days, it seems like, the days of the trust the process with Sam Hinkie, because they're in a world of trouble right now. Elton Brand, GM, he's going to have some things to figure out. Nick Nurse, he's got some things to figure out. Joel Embiid, he's definitely got some things to figure out. Tough stuff right here from the Philadelphia 76ers, eliminated from playoff contention and what was supposed to be their big year with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. But injuries, other things get in the way. Sixers don't make the playoffs this year. Let's switch things over to the NFL. First thing in the NFL, we're thinking of some rule changes going on in the NFL. Are they going to ban the tush push? They just moved the touchback line from about the 25-yard line to the 35-yard line. If that increases returns, decreases returns, I don't know. A little interesting move right there for the NFL. Some new rules changes. One last thing in the NFL. 49ers general manager John Lynch said, maybe the reason we blew up our team this offseason, he's saying this to the public, the reason why we blew up our team this offseason was to do with Brock Purdy and his impending contract situation. They want to give Brock Purdy a massive contract. For what? To blow up an awesome team? To where you can only have about Christian McCaffrey in there and Trent Williams? To where you can't have Debo? To where you have to pay a guy like Brandon Ayuk? To where you have to have Kyle Juszczyk on a low contract? To where you have to not be able to sign some good defenders, keep some good defenders, not bring back Mooney Ward? To get Brock Purdy on a big contract? Is Brock Purdy really that guy? I know it's very late, at least in a point of his time with Niners, to be having this discussion, because we've had it so many times of, is Brock the guy? Yes, he's made a Super Bowl. Yes, he's made a conference championship game. Yes, he did those things his first 2 years, and last season didn't go great for him. But he's healthier this year. Will things go better for him? We just don't know. But having to blow up your team that much for a guy like Brock Purdy, who I think really had a great opportunity to benefit off all those guys. I mean, I could have played quarterback, and that team would have made the playoffs. A little bit interesting to me right there, the comment by John Lynch saying that, yes, they blew up the team in part due to the Brock Purdy impending contract situation. Let's switch things over to MLB to close out our headlines. The Torpedo Bats are taking over the MLB. Now, if you're like me and you watch baseball, you see the Yankees had about, 160, 260, a million runs in the first 4 innings against Nestor Cortez and the Brewers the other day. I mean, they were on fire. They were firing on all cylinders. Judge had about 3 home runs in 3 innings. It was the best performance offensively you've seen of any team in the first 2 innings ever. They homered on the first 3 pitches of the game. First time it's ever happened in MLB history. I mean, they were on fire. And then you start to find out it's about these torpedo bats. They look different. The sweet spot's different. It's in a different spot. It's why the Yankees hitters are playing better. Ellie De La Cruz, he used torpedo bat the other night. He had 7 RBIs. He had a great game. Now, Ellie De La Cruz is a great player. Maybe that's just him having a good game. Or maybe it's this torpedo bat, because I can guarantee you this Yankees offense was not firing all cylinders like they were in that first series against the Milwaukee Brewers with those torpedo bats. Really an interesting thing to catch an eye on in the MLB season. The torpedo bats, everybody. Jurickson Profar, an all-star in the MLB, who went over to the Atlanta Braves this offseason has been suspended 80 games for using steroids. Jurickson Profar had a really mid-career up until about 3 years ago. Then he starts batting 280, 290, I think even 300 last season. Now Jurickson Profar is suspended 80 games because he used steroids. This actually doesn't come as a surprise to me. A guy who was mid his whole career decides, hey, maybe I'll test out steroids. Let's see if that works. It did work out for him. This isn't a situation where it's 0.1, like a Yannick Sinner, where it's 0.1 of the dose, or maybe a Fernando Tatis ringworm. I don't think there's an excuse here for Jurickson Profar. So, interesting thing right there. Suspended for steroids, Jurickson Profar. Next thing in MLB, Red Sox ace and new pitcher Garrett Crochet, $170 million over 6 years for a guy who probably is going to need Tommy John if he hasn't already had it. A guy who can't go more past 6 innings past the month of July, can't pitch that late into games. Garrett Crochet, the ace for the Red Sox, gets a huge deal. $170 million over 6 years. And that's part of the headlines this week. Now let me take you back to the first season of this show of Schoolyard Sports. That'd be around fall of 2020, when the biggest new thing on the block was around, and that was Zion Williamson. He had just finished his rookie campaign, where he didn't play much, but he played really well in the games he played in. His NBA debut was January 22nd, 2020. Had a really good game. He had about 3 threes in that fourth quarter. Everybody was getting really excited about Zion Williamson. Then he started playing even better. Then the bubble hit. He looked like he had slimmed down. He looked like he was playing well in the bubble. Then eventually, they shut him down for the rest of the year. Okay, good rookie season for Zion Williamson. Next year, Zion ends up being an all-star starter. Granted, it's because of some players not playing the all-star game, but he was an all-star and then ended up getting that all-star nod in his second season in the NBA. Great. Zion's playing great at this point. And they have Stan Van Gundy as his head coach. But then Stan Van Gundy gets fired. They get Willie Green. And Willie Green's still there as the Pelicans head coach. And Willie Green, I'm fond of Willie Green. I think Willie Green does a good job. But it's also like, there's things in this franchise that need to be figured out. Zion Williamson doesn't know. I don't know if Zion Williamson knows what his future looks like. I don't think anybody does. Injuries are an issue for Zion, and they've always been an issue. Like I said, you go back to that 2020 bubble season, they eventually shut Zion down. 2021, they shut Zion down. 2022, they shut Zion down. What about when Jose Alvarado, I'm trying to remember the year, I think it was 2022, Jose Alvarado and New Orleans Pelicans went up against the number 1 seed, Phoenix Suns, and they actually almost won that series, the Pelicans. But where was Zion Williamson? He was nowhere to be seen because Zion again and again and again has been constantly hurt in his NBA career. It's the harsh reality. You want to talk about how Joel Embiid, he's always hurt? I made that claim before. Well, Zion Williamson is actually always hurt. This guy doesn't play basketball, but when he does, it actually looks really good. He played about 30 games this year. I would have said that was the best basketball of his career. He's had a lot of distractions in the past 2 years, whether it's off the court, whether it's his diet, whether it's what team he's going to be on in the future, whether if he's a bust, if he didn't live up to the LeBron hype, the potential. He kind of shut all that out for about 15 games this year and played some of the best ball of his life. I mean, you could look it up. Zion Williamson highlights. He was looking dominant. He was looking like a powerful force out there. But now it's like, nobody cares about Zion. Nobody looks at his numbers. Nobody cares about him because there's nothing interesting about him anymore because he doesn't play. Your best ability is your availability. If you don't have that, you become irrelevant. The harsh truth there with Zion Williamson, that he's been irrelevant the past few years. Cooper Flagg, if he goes to New Orleans, I don't see Zion staying. I don't know what the future holds for Zion. Do the Pelicans get a haul for him? They should. He's a great player. Will they? I don't think so. Will they get rid of him? They definitely should. And Zion should definitely want out. Are either of those sides going to do that? Or are either of the sides going to stop being lazy for once and do something? I don't think so. So the Pelicans and Zion Williamson are going to be stuck in this never-ending cycle of him getting hurt, him playing, looking great, and then nothing happening at the end of the day for the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion Williamson. That's my take of the week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 players in the Final Four. I love this Final Four because you got all the 1 seeds and all the marbles on the line. You get the 4 best teams in college basketball going at it. Last year, we didn't get the 4 best teams in college basketball. You can't convince me NC State was a top team in college basketball. I mean, last year's Final Four, Alabama was in there. They weren't so great. UConn, Purdue, you can sell me on. Year before that, I mean, that was definitely not the best 4 teams in college basketball. You had Miami, you had Florida Atlantic, you had San Diego State, and you had the national champion UConn, who obviously was a great team. But for this year, you get the best teams in there. You get the 4 best teams, which means you get the 5 best players in college basketball, which I truly think This list resembles the top 5 players in this year's 2025 Final Four out in San Antonio. For 5, the Duke sharpshooter, Concanopoulos. Yes, he might be in the shadow a little bit of Cooper Flagg, but Concanopoulos is still going to be a lottery pick, and he's still a dead eye from 3. 5, Concanopoulos. 4, Houston point guard, LJ Cryer. Now, LJ Cryer, I'm not going to spoil my did you know yet. Might be revolving around him a little bit, but he's a great point guard. I mean, he's progressed so much from being kind of playing second fiddle to Jamal Shed last year, kind of playing second fiddle over at Baylor to, let's say, Jared Harper, a few other guys in there. He's been second fiddle his whole career. Ends up transferring to Houston. Like I said, sat behind Jamal Shed. This year was his team. This year was his year to be the full point guard. Now, he didn't play great in the Sweet 16, but had a great game in the Elite 8, great game in the round 32, dropping 30 against Gonzaga. He's an awesome point guard to watch. He's going to rebound. He's going to shoot well. He's going to pass the ball great. He's an awesome defender. LJ Cryer of Houston, one of the toughest players to guard in the country. Number 4. Number 3, this one might get a little bit controversial. Janai Broome is at number 3 for me. Now, Janai Broome can be the Wooden Award winner. He can be whatever he wants. He can also be 75 years old because that's what it looks like when he's on the court. He is a super senior, Janai Broome. Now, that's the new game of college basketball. Don't hate the player, hate the game, charge to the game. You can say that. But Janai Broome also doesn't scare me as much as the top 2 guys in this list do. So Janai Broome is number 3. The Auburn center who can rebound as much as he wants. He's number 3 on my list. Number 2, the next Stephen Curry, you could say, or the Stephen Curry of college basketball, Walter Clayton Jr. This guy brings Florida back every game. He's awesome to watch. He's the reason why they're in the Final Four. 2, Walter Clayton Jr. And number 1, you know who it is. It's Cooper Flagg. Might seem like at times, these Duke players, they take over. Cooper Flagg might get a little bit stagnant, but at the end of the day, Cooper Flagg is going to be the one who ends up hitting the dagger, ends up making the big play to go on that big run, who ends up flushing the team down the drain. Look at that Arizona game. Duke didn't play great in that first half. They're up 45-42. Then Cooper Flagg hits about a half-court 3 at the buzzer to go to overtime. That's just one of the examples of how great Cooper Flagg has been this season. That's why he's number 1 on this list. The top 5 players in college basketball. That's about it for top 5 this week. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know LJ Cryer, point guard of Houston, can be the first player in college basketball history to win 2 national championships on 2 different teams? Yes, we've never seen it. Player win 2 national championships on separate teams. He was on Baylor in 21. He can be on Houston to do it in 25. That's about it for Did You Know this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, I want to do a tennis takeover spotlight, everybody. Now, there's been no Grand Slams in the past few months. Last one was in January, where, of course, we had Jannik Sinner win it, but he hasn't played in the last few months. So it's opened up a gateway for a bunch of new players to do well in these tournaments. In Indian Wells, we saw lefty Jack Draper upset everybody and win that tournament. And then the Miami Open, we saw a bunch of surprises, and we saw 19-year-old Jakub Mensik win Miami Open, one of the best Masters 1000s of the year. So my take is, for tennis, we're getting all these new young stars in tennis. It's not the Djokovic's anymore of the game. It's not the Grigor Dimitrovs. It's not even, I'll say, the Alexander Zverevs of the game, who's number 1 seed in that tournament. It's these new guys. Holger Rune, Jakub Mensik, Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Joao Fonseca, who's taking over the game right now as a 17-year-old from Brazil in tennis. Even Ben Shelton, throw him in there. So I want to throw out there the past few Master 1000 champions, past few Grand Slam champions even, have been young stars on the rise in tennis. And we got another one this week with Jakub Mensik winning the Miami Open to get his first Masters 1000 title. That's about it for my spotlight this week. Now, it's that time, everybody. It's the time to pick the College Hoops March, or should I say April Madness games. The Final Four is here. Florida versus Auburn, Duke versus Houston. Let's break it down. Now, I had my Final Four when the bracket came out, being Florida, Michigan, Duke, Houston. So pretty good so far. 3 of the 4 teams are right, but we got all 4 1 seeds in here. And like I said we're going to get some awesome games in this Final Four. Starting out with Florida versus Auburn. Now, Auburn is obviously a great team. They have Janai Broome. They have Dylan Cardwell, one of the most ferocious setters in the country. They have Tahad Pettiford off the bench. They have 2 sharpshooters, Denver Jones, Miles Kelly. I watched them torment my Michigan Wolverines and then torment our rivals, the Michigan State Spartans. And they're on fire right now. Auburn, they're playing great basketball. But Florida's a different animal. Now, they seem neck to neck the whole season in the SEC. Auburn took the SEC title. But Florida won, then gets their last matchup against Auburn. They played great in that game. Walter Clayton Jr. balled out. Thomas Haug balled out. Even Micah Henn logged in. A guy who came off the bench in that game played really well. Elijah Martin, Will Richard, Denzel Aberdeen. I can name so many guys in this Florida team, and I had it before my bracket. Them getting to the Final Four, and I'm going to do it again. We're getting to the championship game. Florida into the national championship game. Well, they'll play the winner of Duke versus Houston. This is a tough game. And you know what I hate to say? I hate to spoil my pick right here, but this is the real national championship game. So whoever wins this game is going to win the national championship. Saw this game last year in Dallas. Great game. Duke ended up winning it. And Duke had no business to win that game. That Houston team was bigger, better, faster, stronger, tougher. But Duke got it done. John Shire, great coaching in that game. Cal Filipowski played the game of his life. Jamal Shedd didn't play because he got hurt in the whole entire first half. Missed most of the first. Missed the whole entire second. Okay. Different Houston team this year. Jay Cryer, it's his team now. You got Milos Uzon. You got Terrence Arsenault. You got Juwan Roberts. Javier Francis. Manuel Sharp. Great team. They can shoot the ball really well. But when you go up against these top teams, they didn't do so great in the regular season. But then in the NCAA tournament, what they've done so far is they've decimated them. Look at Gonzaga game. Look at the Purdue game. Purdue's a great team. Houston, Kelvin Sampson, they didn't play great in the first half. Ended up having a solid second half. Getting the win. Milos Uzon, great play at the end of the game. Inbounds it, gets it back, dunks it for the win. That's prime Houston basketball. Emmanuel Sharp, he knew what he was doing against Tennessee. They lit them up. Jay Cryer, just a general on the court. He's doing whatever he wants out there. But so is Duke. I mean, I saw Duke play on Saturday against Alabama. I didn't feel a nervous bone in my body during that game. Whenever Chris Youngblood and Aiden Holloway hit a three, Duke came right back at them. A lot of these Duke players played hero ball last year. A lot of them know their role now on the court. When I say that, look at a guy like Tyrese Proctor, a guy who tried to do too much last year. And now this season, he knows his role. He's shooting his threes at a great rate. He's shooting about 50% from three, it seems like, and getting about 15 buckets a game. It's an awesome way for Tyrese Proctor. Again, 15, 20 points a game. He's playing great. Cooper Flagg, he's new. He's a freshman. He's the best player in the country. Con Knuppel, he knows what he's doing out there. Sion James, he knows what he's doing out there. And John Shire, the head coach, who could be the next Coach K, pieces it all together. And Duke gets the national championship game. Now, the pick is here. Duke versus Florida. I told you who it was back in the semifinal game when I said the winner of Duke-Houston win the national championship game. So yes, Duke wins this national championship game over Florida. I had this matchup in my bracket, Duke versus Florida. It's going to be a great game. I mean, Florida has awesome big men, but I think at the end of the day, John Shire wins it over Todd Golden. Two head coaches battling for their first championship. Little note right here. This is the first time since 1989 all of the coaches in here are fighting for their first national championship win. It's going to be awesome to see. Can Bruce Pearl and Auburn pull off the upset against Florida? I don't think so. Can Kelvin Sampson get to the national championship game? No. Will Todd Golden and Florida win it? No. Duke is your 2025 national champion, and that's about for college hoops madness this year. Now, at the buzzer. This week's At the Buzzer is we're going to talk about these torpedo bats in the MLB. I know I talked about them for a little bit in the headlines, but could this be the juice ball era times 10, or will pitchers find out a loophole for it and we'll get the dead ball era all over again? When we did this show in 2021, the first season of this show, yes, we were in the dead ball era. We were getting no hitters left and right. But the year before that, we're getting the juice ball era. We're having awesome home runs left and right. I don't know what era we're in right now. Hopefully just the normal ball era, but these torpedo bats can create a huge storm for these pitchers. You've also got two ballparks right now that are minor league ballparks. The Rays are playing in a minor league ballpark. The A's are playing in a minor league ballpark. Teams are going to eat those. Hitters are just going to eat those ballparks up. It's a pitcher's nightmare in those ballparks, but it'll be interesting to see, especially with these torpedo bats. Can this be the worst era or the best era of the MLB when it comes to hitting? That's about for At the Buzzer this week. Now, question of the day. This week's question is, it's one of the best ones we've ever had. Should there even be a transfer portal? Or should there just be an open market where you can just have your name on that open market, no matter what, your name's on there. Coaches can reach out to you. People can bid for you. That's how it works. That's how soccer works. You can be having the best time of your life with a team. Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia can offer you $800 million and you can go over there. Now, you don't see that in the NBA. You don't see that in the NFL or MLB. It's called tampering. It doesn't seem like it should be called tampering in college because all that happens now is tampering, to where it's not even called tampering anymore. It's called normal. So should there just be an open market? You have a great season. Awesome. Bryce Young finishes his freshman year at Alabama, goes to the national championship game, wins the Heisman. That's awesome. He's not looking to leave, But hey, maybe someone wants to offer him a few $1 million. He'll say, I'll look at that. But no, to where you don't even have to enter the transfer portal, to where you're on open market, it could kill the mid-majors, but it's the best way to fix tampering. That's the question this week. Should there even be a transfer portal, or should there just be an open market for players? That's question day. That's BLEAV Schoolyard Sports, Lane Frank, episode 208. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sport. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sports. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back here next week, episode 209. Stay tuned.